Hey folks.
Don, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well.
Fire away.
Your thoughts on the continuing negative reception of David Beckham in Southern California in 2009?
Well, let me start by saying that this is a great night for soccer in America. This is one of the largest crowds in the history of the sport in this country, and it's a night to celebrate. Our team is standing toe-to-toe, at least in the first half, against the best team in the world today and perhaps one of the best teams of all time. So, I think it's a good day for soccer, and I will say that I'm not sure that the fans are going to react in the second half quite the way they reacted in the first half. David Beckham's a world-class player, and the Galaxy are a different team, and Major League Soccer is a different league with him on the field.
And comments on Kenny Cooper to 1860 minutes?
Yeah, listen, Kenny has been a guy that has been playing very well, playing for our national team, as you guys saw in the Gold Cup. It's a good transfer for Kenny. I think it's a good story, again, a continuing story about young American players that can play in our league and then in time get transferred overseas.
Are you concerned if young players are starting to move outside of the league as opposed to staying in the league?
Well, I think in time we want to have the kind of league where young players can play, want to play, and we're capable of keeping them in the league. So this sport is all about, whether it's here or it's around the world, the balance of players that are going to move in and move out. So we've had a number of players that have been sold to go overseas, but obviously we've got a number of players that have come back. So it's part of the sport.
Don, we have an incredible crowd here tonight. We had 81,000, a couple of weeks ago for Chelsea, Inter Milan. How do we turn these fans into MLS fans?
If you look outside here today, it's probably the most marketing we've ever done for an MLS club. There's branding and signage all over this stadium. There's advertisements for our team, the LA Galaxy. They've marketed this game. This is a game in partnership with some, but they've been the ones that's doing the marketing. So part of it is creating those connections, and part of it is having a night where your team can be competitive and convincing a lot of fans that might be here to see Barcelona that the LA Galaxy can play. So that's something that's been going on throughout the summer. We still believe wholeheartedly that we're much better off building the sport, creating this soccer nation, which I think has been proven this summer, and then slowly converting those players into being fans of our teams.
Do you foresee a day of MLS teams playing in this size stadium, or are you content to stay in the medium, the smaller size stadiums?
We have a team playing in Quest Stadium now, Quest Field. On Wednesday's game, that game will sell over 67,000 tickets. It'll be the largest game ever played in a soccer game in the state of Washington. So listen, we've got to start filling up all of our small stadiums before we could start worrying on a regular basis about filling up stadiums like this outside of exhibitions.
Commissioner, do you consider changing the transfer system a little bit in MLS to give a chance to the wealthiest teams to compete, maybe with European teams for some players, to adjust the system of transfers more the European way? Is it a chance?
Well, right now, we're transferring. We operate just like every other professional soccer league does. Players get transferred, and today that money goes to the home team or the team that's transferring that player. 66% of it, 2/3 goes to that team. A third goes back into the player budget that funds collectively all the players. I don't think in a short term that's going to change.
Also, do you think we could...
Let me go around.
Without the emotion of the earlier question, this fine to Beckham, obviously, someone who makes that much money, I don't know how much it would be.
It's very simple. We're not going to fine players because they're more famous. We're not going to fine players different money because they make more money. That's just not the way the system works.
But
players get fined.
The
fine is judged on the offense, not based on how much money a player earns. It's never been that way in the history of our league. So for what he did, that fine in other instances was $1,000 or less. So we're not going to fine David because he makes different amounts of money because he makes more money. That was a statement by us to say that regardless of his intent, that we can't have any of our players being even perceived as encouraging fans to come out of the stands. We've had incidents like that in the past, and David was disciplined for it. He gets it, he understands it. I don't think you'll see it happen again.
Commissioner, beyond the fine, did you talk with Beckham either on an official or an informal basis about the kind of behavior you want him to display from you?
Well, we don't really need to talk to David too much about that. Listen, this has been an emotional time for everybody, and it's got to be an emotional time for David. I'll say on behalf of the league and on behalf of all of our owners, this has been deemed an experiment. It's not an experiment. This was something that we believed would be an important part of the development of our league, an important part of our history. I would do this again in a heartbeat. I think it was a very successful acquisition, if you will, and I'm happy David's here, and I got to tell you, when he teed up over that ball today, every one of you were hoping that he would put it in. And I think he creates drama that every one of our fans grow to expect. You know, the opposite of love isn't hate; it's indifference. And we have people now that care about what goes on in our field. And I'd rather deal with people having challenges and issues with some of the things that take place on our field and not care at all. I mean, the amount of awareness for this story has been one of the biggest stories in professional sports anywhere around the world, and that's a good thing for Major League Soccer.